Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle then for the X-Fox in the Box, Ep.1. And tonight we're going to be chatting with special guest Paul Konchesky, ex-Leicester City left-back then. I'm going to be asking Paul about his football career in general. I'm going to ask him what he's up to these days. I'm going to ask him about his real time at Leicester. We're even going to try and put him on the spot here about getting his 11 together of the players that he's played with at Leicester. And if you've got any questions, be sure to get them into Paul Konchesky. I'll try and get as many as I can to him. Guys, as always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, then that would be appreciated. Jack, how are you, mate? Hope you're good. Joey, how are you? Ellis, how are you, mate? Yeah, let's get started. Mr. Paul Konchesky. Paul, how are you, mate?
I'm very good, mate. How are you?
I'm very good. Paul, welcome to the X-Fox in the Box. You're the first ex-Leicester player we have on, which is always a pleasure. Talk to me about your early career and how it all started. Obviously, you then went on to make over 600 odd appearances in football. Let's have a look at some of the teams you've played for. Charlton, Tottenham, West Ham, Fulham, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, Leicester, QPR, Gillingham, Billericay Town, East Thurrock United, Billericay Town again, and then, of course, retired. Talk to me about your football career and onwards, mate.
Yeah, well, basically, mate, I say I started quite late in football, 9 years old, I didn't start playing and kicking football about. You see kids these days, they're starting at 4 and 5, which is mental, But yeah, I started at 9 years old and was lucky enough really that I don't know how you put it. If you say I was a natural, because at 9 years old I started playing grassroots and got picked up at Charlton from 9 years old. So I've always been in that system since day one, and I've been lucky enough to, like you say, I've played for some fantastic football clubs and made over 600 appearances in the football in the Premier League.
Yeah, you talk about Charlton, which was the first club you played for. Talk to me about Charlton onwards. You then obviously played for Tottenham on loan, didn't you, during the time at Charlton? Went to West Ham 2005 to 2007, where you scored in the FA Cup game. Some would say it was a cross, and some would say, did you mean it?
Well, probably nowadays I could probably say that it was supposed to be a cross, but listen, I do tell people everything's a goal. When it goes in the back of the net, it's a goal, so you take it. But if I'm being honest, it was a cross, but you can't take it away. It's a cup final, and it was probably one of the dreams come true, that scoring in an FA Cup final.
What was it like at Charlton and West Ham?
Yeah, so obviously early days. I left school at 16, and they call it scholarships now. When it was a YTS when I first started, and it was probably probably the best days of my life. Leaving school and calling football a job. You was going to work to try and earn a living further on in your life and career, and to do that at 16 years old for knowing you had 2 years to try and make it as a professional footballer was fantastic. Waking up every day, going to work, but doing something that you love, and you always dreamt of trying to grow up and be a footballer. So to leave school, that was my ambition, to want to play football, and I had that opportunity from day one, and it took me in good stead to learn the trade as a kid. A fantastic football club as in Charlton when I was growing up in 96, 97. It was somewhere that it learnt me and put me in good stead for future careers. And I've took them my life skills away from there, and
Yeah.
has followed me through my career.
Yeah, fairs. You then went to Fulham, 2007 to 2010. Liverpool, 2010, 2011. Talk to me about your, what was it, a 4-year period between them two clubs?
Yeah, so obviously left the West Ham after the cup final season, and then went across London. You know, I was in London quite a bit as a youngster, and then went to Fulham and settled down there, and I had 3 years at Fulham before I obviously had the opportunity to go to Liverpool, where Roy Hodgson took me from Fulham to Liverpool, and you know, in hindsight now, maybe I should have stayed, but I think when you get the opportunity to go to a football club like Liverpool with the historic background I have, is really hard to turn down. And I had the opportunity to go and to test myself, and I've obviously been lucky enough to play for one of the biggest clubs in the world at the time, and it was a great experience for me, and learned many things.
Yeah. Liverpool, of course, went on to sell you, didn't they, to Leicester City. 2011, Sven-Goran Eriksson, £1.5 million, the transfer fee for Paul Konchesky to come to the King Power Stadium. Talk to me about Leicester. How did it come about for you?
So obviously, I went to Liverpool. Back end of Liverpool, I went to Nottingham Forest on loan. So I always knew in that summer of 2011 that my time would obviously come to an end at Liverpool, and I needed to go to a football club that had options of wanting to do really well, and playing the Premier League for one. But I needed somewhere that wanted me, and I wanted to be settled and hopefully spend a long time there. And after speaking to obviously the club, it was Sven at the time, um, and Andrew Neville, and the people about, and the chairman. It was something that I wanted to be part of. You know, the ambitions the chairman showed me, and Sven-Goran Eriksson showed me. It was somewhere that I wanted to test myself and be part of something that was going to be bigger and bigger and better things. And from when I joined to when I left, it only went one way, and it was up.
Yeah, 5-year period. What would you say your top 5 moments was at Leicester?
Obviously, one, signing for the football club with the ambition. 2, getting promoted from the Championship to the Premier League.
Yeah.
3, playing for the football club.
Mm-hmm.
4, the owners I played for.
Yeah,
And
great
5,
owners.
and 5, stand in the Premier League.
Yeah. So you scored 5 goals for Leicester. I remember that one what you scored against Wolves, the absolute belter. They always said Paul Konchesky never scored tap-ins at Leicester. You know, and it proved to be pivotal. Talk to me about your goals. The first Leicester City goal you scored was against Burnley away in 2011. You then went on to score against Hull City. You then scored that absolute belter against Wolves. Then against Blackpool at Bloomfield Road, which was a penalty. And then you
That was
scored
the worst
against
one.
Aston Villa. Huh?
That Blackpool one was the worst one.
I tell you what, I bet that pitch was one of the worst ones you played on as well.
It was just like a sandcastle. You're right, but listen, like you say, I didn't score many goals throughout my career, but in the successful time I was at Leicester, I probably scored 1 a year, which equals the 5 years. And I remember like that was yesterday. I think when you're having good times at a good football club, then you remember the good moments and always scoring for the football club. And even the goal against Villa weren't the best goal, but it started the run to stay in the Premier League just after Christmas.
Talk to me about that red card at Aston Villa away. Um, some would say that's never a red card. Obviously, Alan Hutton versus Paul Konchesky on a football pitch. I don't think it ends well, does it? To be fair, when it comes to a battle.
No, and I remember it. Like I say, I think you know what the game is. It's a massive game. It's a big derby, and let's be honest, we don't like each other, and especially as a fullback. And I fancy myself as like not a tough nut, but a tough tackling fullback, and probably Alan Hutton fancied himself as well. And if someone wants to be how they are on the football pitch, you have to stick up to that. And listen, I wore my heart on my sleeve, and I gave everything every time I played for the football club. So if it means shedding tears and having to not have a fight, but put a little bit of oomph into to some things, and you end up getting a red card, then so be it. But like I say, I tried every time I play for the football club, I give 110%, and I love playing there.
Talk to me about your best games in a Leicester shirt.
Um,
Is that Man United one up there?
yeah, it has to be. I think the championship season was a really good season at the football club, um, and then obviously playing in the Premier League for the football club. But that one would always stick out. 5-3 at home to Man United, and um, no one expected it. And you look at Man United's team, and they'd say they probably had the best team in the country, and your Champions League teams, and we turn them over, and probably would really deserved it. You look back and you still see it now when the Man United Leicester team games on. That one always gets shown. So for every Leicester fan, it was probably one of the best games that they've witnessed.
What's it like playing in games like that? Obviously, Leicester, Di Maria scores, Donny Van Persie, and then Ajoa gets one at the other end, and then, Herrera then makes it 3-1 to Man United. And then you're thinking, are we kind of buried here in this type of game? Is it? But then I always found with Leicester, like, they never gave up. We never got battered in any game, really. We probably not concede many goals. Talk to me about that Man United game in general. I think it was the debut of Esteban Cambiasso, if I'm correctly. Talk to me about the game itself, what it was like playing in, and talk to me about playing with that Esteban Cambiasso midfielder.
Right, well, I think the game speaks for itself. You especially me growing up, you look at Man United, and they're the best team in the Premier League, and I think everyone wants to play against them teams because it's so called have the best players. Like you've just mentioned some there. You had Rooney and people like that. So you're testing yourself against the best, which every footballer wants to do. And you're at home, and you've got the fans behind you at the King Power. When they get going, it's rocking, and it's a tough place to go. So when you're playing for them and the fans are behind you, and you're playing against Man United, when you get one goal, and I think you just hit the nail on the head. I think the team that we had and the squad that we had, we had that togetherness. We had that togetherness, and everyone fought for each other. So not just on the pitch, but off it as well. So we really stuck together, and I think it showed because you're losing 3-1 to Man United. You get one more goal just before half time. You think we have got a chance here, and you come out. You've got nothing to lose. You're playing against the best. If you lose, you lost to the better team. But you give your all, and I think giving your all, and like you say, having someone experienced as Cambiasso when he came in to settle us down, it was fantastic. And you learn from people like that, playing with them, listening to them, and they're good to have about.
Obviously, you had your Steven Gerrard moment, kissing the camera when the fifth goal went in. Talk to me about the Great Escape season. I mean, we had a good start, didn't we? And then it kind of all kind of like went away from us a bit, and then Christmas came, and you're thinking, yeah, we're out of it here, aren't we? And I remember listening to Albrighton on Under the Cosh the other day that he said Leicester looked done at Christmas, and you're thinking to yourself, is it over? You know, obviously the bookies, I think they were kind of paying out at that point because they thought that were it for Leicester. And then to then come to them last 9 games, talk to me about them last 9 games. Obviously, one of them was against your former club, West Ham, which Cambiasso scored in. Talk to me about them last 9 games. 7 wins out of the last 9. Talk to me about them.
Well, I think you've just hit the nail on the head, mate. You've just said that everyone wrote us off.
Yeah.
Everyone. But within house, that weren't what we thought. You know, be fair to Nigel because obviously he took the team and he never changed. He never changed from winning every game to losing every game to drawing. His philosophy never changed, you know, and we always trained how we trained, and I think it was not the team, the club as a whole. We all stuck together. So within 4 walls, that we knew what we had to do. We went about the business quietly. We stuck together. You win one, yeah, everyone gets excited from outside, but we know that one game ain't enough. But like I say, we didn't get carried away. We done what we was doing. Trying to enjoy training, because I think once you don't enjoy it, then I think that's when you're doomed. I think so. The manager and his staff, to be fair, that we try to enjoy it. We try to stick together. We went out for food together. We done quite a bit together. So we was in it together, from players to staff to kit people to people all in the building. So we knew what we had to do, and it was just one game at a time. And like you say, I think the togetherness just showed, because after one game, the next game came, and we was in that, and it just kept rolling and rolling. And it was like 3 or 4 in, yeah, we're all right. We're going to do this. We know that, but let's not get carried away.
Do you think it was the West Brom game where you started believing you can actually stay up, where it all started?
Yeah, and it's always even better, you know, another derby down the road, the fans, you know, getting right behind the team, and knowing like if you win this, then like, wow, we could stay up here. So the fans pay massive credit to this as well. It ain't just what we had; they helped, and they're like, I know people say it, but they're like a 12th man, and especially at the King Power, it's not a nice place to go to, the King Power, when the fans are bouncing.
It was kind of mad, wasn't it, that Leicester pulled off the great escape in Premier League history. You know, to be dead and buried from in December time to you get to Sunderland away, and you get that point, and you know Hull's lost at Tottenham, and you know, I guess that, what was it like in the dressing room after?
The longer it went, the happier we got. But at the start, it was just like, right, that's done. Now, obviously, we still rely on other things, but we've done our job. Right, we're back in on Monday. We do it properly again, and we'll be ready for the next game, because we knew, like you say, the first game you're still not out of it, and you're still in trouble. So the longer it went, and the more games we was winning and picking up points, and people was dropping it, that's when you start getting more happier.
Yeah, agreed. 2 managers you worked under then, the late Sven-Goran Eriksson, which sadly passed away a few weeks ago. Nigel Pearson, another one. Talk to me about both of them as characters and what influence they had on your career.
I was lucky enough to have Sven with England as well. So completely different to Nigel. And Sven was quite laid back and quite chilled. Especially at England, because Tor Grip done a lot for England, and Steve McLaren, where at Leicester, where Derek Fasakali, he done a lot of the coaching as well with Mike Stahl. So completely different away from Leicester, but he was still quiet at Leicester. But Derek done quite a bit, I think. But when the manager spoke, you knew that he meant business. And Nigel was obviously, God bless Shaky as well, with Shaky, that both top people, but Nigel's done quite a bit with unit work. So especially with me as a defender, I used to work with the defenders, and I think Nigel really had the players on his side because his man management skills was so good. He was such a person's person, which I think in football you don't see a lot, or people don't hear about a lot. But Nigel he had the people skills that he was a person's person more than or before football. So making sure your family's okay, and because if your family's not all right, you're not all right. So he was really good like that, and knew when things weren't right, and he was top class at that.
People have different stories about Nigel, don't they? Obviously, you'd have heard him at Leicester about the media and that. I mean, Nigel himself was a character, wasn't he? You know, he's not one you'd want to get on the wrong end of the stick of. Some would say. Deeney come out the other week and said he's probably the worst manager he's worked under with the way he is. You know, you won't want to mess with him and that. You do as you're told and you get on with it. When he tells you, that's it. Do you think he was that type of character behind the scenes? Obviously, the fans don't see what goes on, do they, around the training and whatever else. What kind of character was he? Was he more chilled? Could he be strict at times? What did you take of him?
Well, before I signed for the football club, or before he came to the football club, I didn't really know of Nigel. I've never worked with him and played against him because obviously I was quite young when I played, and Nigel was playing at Middlesbrough and things like that. So when I used to think about him, I used to think my headmaster at school was quite abrupt and big and strong, and that's how Nigel come across to me. But then working with him, it was a soft puppy, really. But, and I say but because when you got on the wrong side of him, or he had to demand stuff, then you knew, like, whoa, this man's serious now. So he had two different sides. More or less, we seen a nice side, but when he weren't happy, then you would know about it.
Yeah, I think with that Great Escape season, a lot talked about it with the Ostrich Gate, didn't it? With the Liverpool incident as well, and all them different things. He always spoke quite highly of taking the pressure away from the players. Do you think that's the type of thing he did when he was at the football club with games, where if he takes the pressure, then it's less pressure on you lot to go out there and perform?
Yeah, and when I go back to the Great Escape, that's the stuff I'm talking about. So he tried to keep everything like it used to be, and it ain't us and him. And I'll do the media. You just concentrate on doing what you're doing. So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about with that sort of stuff. He was really good, and he didn't like, I'll worry about this and worry about that. We kept everything the same, and he was really good at that.
Talk to me about the year after. I think you was on loan at QPR, wasn't you, for a season? Leicester then went on to win the title, didn't they, Paul? Talk to me how mad that was to see the Great Escape happen, and then for Leicester to go and win the title at 5,000 to 1.
Unbelievable. But what a fantastic achievement for the football club. And I say for the football club, and I mean, starts from the top, the owners, for what they've put into that football club to what they've achieved is unreal. And that was their dream one day to win the Premier League, and they absolutely smashed it.
Did you kind of believe that, Paul? You know, when obviously Vishai said there's a 5-year plan here, he wants Leicester to be competing at the highest level in the Premier League, which is his vision. To then go 5 years to when the Premier League title thing happened, I mean, did that bring pressure as players, do you reckon? Or do you think it was the case that, you know what, maybe we can dream of them type of things happening?
It's a tough one, you know, because when you sign for the football club and you speak to owners and that's their plan, you want to believe it. but the football club didn't believe it. They achieved it,
Yeah.
and that's down to the people that's backed it. And listen, you have to have the right players, the right people, the right coaches. I understand that, but that was their plan, and their plan they absolutely smashed.
What was Vishal like as a bloke? Obviously, you'd have met him a few times, wouldn't you? His time at Leicester. Obviously, sadly passed away years back now. Still remembered to this day at the football club. What was he like to work with Vishal? Obviously, being the owner and that.
The best mate. He was the best man that football club could have asked for. Listen, I didn't meet him a lot. I met him loads. He
Yeah.
used to treat us. He used to treat us for food. He used to take us out for dinner as families. He was always there. Him and his son Top, and I still speak to Top to this day. So that's the relationship that not just myself have with people at the football club, that obviously players and ex-players have with owners. Because, like I say, they were the best people to work for.
Ross has got a question for you. Hello, Jack. Hello, Paul. Hope you're well. Quick question: who was your favourite manager to work under, ever to play for?
In my whole career,
Yeah.
well, I always say Roy Hodgson and Nigel Pearson, two different people, but same outcome. Both people, and worry about the football. Secondly, and I never forget the stuff they used to say to me, and it's always stuck with me for my career and for life.
I'm going to ask you one thing. I asked you before we started. Your best 11 to play with. I know I'd kind of put you on the spot. I know it's kind of a one to really think about, but I'm gonna let you pick a formation. Whichever formation you want to go with, that's fine, and then pick your 11 of the best ever players you played with at Leicester, and which manager you'd go with in that team as well.
I will go for 4-4-3-3.
Okay.
Nigel Pearson as the manager.
Yeah.
So I'm going to obviously play myself.
Okay. You go left back. Okay. We'll accept that.
Wes Morgan.
Yep.
Sol Bamba.
Mhm.
I go with Richie Dilat.
Yep.
Then I will go Cambiasso.
Yep.
Danny Drinkwater.
Mhm.
Andy King.
Yep.
Then I'd go Mahrez. Lloyd Dyer. Jamie Vardy.
And who's the top 5 best players you've worked with?
At Leicester.
Mhm. If you had to pick 5.
Cambiasso.
Is he number 1?
Cambiasso. I just think every player learns off the best, and he was the best, even not even on the pitch, like the conversations you could have, how he helps, and he sees football different. He's played for the best clubs in the world. So I said Casper in goal as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'd say Cambiasso, Mahrez.
Yeah.
I love playing with Vards.
Great career he's had, hasn't he, Paul?
Yeah.
Break numerous of records.
I love. It's different because Lloyd Dyer. I love playing with Lloydie because we had a good combination down the left.
Yeah.
Probably Danny Drinkwater.
Looking at some of them players, obviously, talk to me about Jamie Vardy, what he was like to work with at Leicester in the dressing room. Obviously, biggest joker when it comes to putting pranks on people and that. And a real down-to-earth bloke who's achieved so much at Leicester as a player. You know, he's now our longest-serving player, spending just over 12 years at the football club now. Talk to me about what it was like working with JV9.
Like I think you just said a lot of it there. He came into Leicester really late in his career.
Yeah.
But hasn't ever changed. Like so, wherever he came in, he's never changed as a person. Obviously, as a player, he's got better and better. Don't get me wrong, but as a person, he's never changed. He's never thought he's something he isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was just really good to play with. You know, because you knew his strengths and you tried to play with his strengths. From when he first came, you knew he was quick as anything, and he could catch pigeons. He could score goals. He probably didn't get as much credit when he first came that he could score goals. He could use both feet. He can jump. But a good guy is a good person, and he's never changed. So he was someone that I know that when you play against that football club or
Yeah.
against Leicester, people don't want him on the team sheet.
Yeah, he's always one that hangs on the edge of them defenders. You know, the defenders hate to play against him. You know, and the records that he broken, the 11-11, that's still not beaten to this day. The achievements that he has. He's now in the 100th club, isn't he? And he's achieved so much as a player. Premier League winner, FA Cup winner, Community Shield, 2 championship titles. Ross has got one for you, Paul, and I think it's about your hair. You went from having no hair to a full set of hair. What made you want your hair again?
So when I was little, I'll tell you the story. So when I was little, I've got like a cow's lick. Like it used to stick up. So when I was little and went to school, like my hair would go one way, but this other thing would stick up the other. And I never ever wanted it. Like I can't go to school like this, mum. So I always cut my hair off really short.
Yeah.
Years and years and years on, like everyone thought I was bald. One summer, off season, I was still at Leicester because that's when I came back with hair and people didn't know. We went on holiday for, I don't know, 4 weeks, my family, my little girl. So I said, all summer, I won't see no one. I'll try and grow my hair and let's see what it's like. So I grew it, come back a bit like now. And my little girl was like, Dad, you can't cut your hair no more. So from that day, I've never cut it off. Obviously, I'm grey as anything, but I have to deal with that. But my little girl would never let me cut my hair back off. So, yeah, that was it really.
Fantastic. Gray Richardson asks hardest and favourite game you've played at with Leicester and your best goal scored.
My best goal score for Leicester, I think, would be either. It's hard, really. The Villa goal at home at the King Power to get us started on that few games to stay up, or the Wolves away one. We lost 2-1, but it was like a rocket in the top corner. So I've probably got them 2 favourites really. Toughest game. I'd always have to say against Man United, only because of that one-on-one with Ronaldo or Nani, and you could never not be on it. You'd always have to be 10% more than you would in the other game because they're the best players.
Talk to me about hardest man at Leicester City. Who do you think the hardest man was in the dressing room? Obviously, you've had a few in there, haven't you? The Robert Hoofs, you've had Vacileski, you've had Paz
Right, so
Morgan.
I'm going to tell you a story of Hoofy.
Go
because no, it's not a bad story, but every time I played against Robert Hoof or you see Robert Hoof on the TV,
yeah,
aggressive man, horrible man, like I wouldn't want to play. I wouldn't want him. But as a teammate, Robert Hoof was the best guy, nicest guy, quietest guy, would do anything for you. So and it's hard because I obviously played, but you see people on the TV, what happens to them, and Hoofy always got sent off for elbowing or headbutting or whatever. But he was the nicest person that would have come to the football club. So you get these impressions of people that they're this and they're that. Not Hoofy. He was the nicest person, mate. I promise you.
So if you had to pick between Vasilevsky then and Wes Morgan, who are you going for?
As in what, fighting hard or?
Well, obviously, when it comes to like tussling and big strong man, and you won't want to sort of play against them types of defenders.
Wes was a big giant, though. Wes is the big. He's a big giant as well. Wes. Marcin Vasilevsky, he was. Yeah, no, I wouldn't like him. He's a great one. Yeah, no, Wes is a big giant. He's a big teddy bear. I love Wes.
Vasilevsky's built different.
Yeah, he's got that Polish in him like me, like when you want to tackle someone. Horrible. Nasty.
Straight through you.
Yeah, Wes, he was a big guy, Wes, but he's a nice teddy bear.
So you're picking Vasilevsky?
Yeah, toughest,
mate. Worst dress sense?
Vasilevsky, mate, he could come in some bad gear. He would come in some bad gear.
Best music, when it comes to players playing music in the dressing room, who had the best one?
I don't really know. You used to do the music. Bard used to put some on, to be fair. Wes, the skipper. Yeah, Skip used to.
Any stories you'd like to tell us from Leicester that obviously the fans won't obviously know about, obviously behind the scenes?
No, not really. I think, like I said to you before, when I first went to the club, before Cambiasso used to come, I said to you before, like, we didn't have any superstars. We had good footballers and good people, and I think that's how it stayed. We was a good group, and we done everything together. There weren't no one who had a big ego and he thought he was this and he was that. We had a good group, and I just think like the togetherness we had, we'd do loads of stuff together, like eat just for food, or we'd go out mucking around. I don't know. We go golf, anything, go-karting, but we'd do it all together. We wouldn't be dribs and drabs. It was quite a close-knit, and I think that's why I think we were so successful as a group.
Yeah. Any superstitions before games?
Yeah, well, it's quite weird, really. I just think one time when I played, I used to always put like my right sock on first, then my left, then my right boot, and my left, and I always done it throughout my career. So it's I don't know why. I only get the feeling that I've done it, played well, and I thought that was always going to make me play well. But yeah, it was just a weird superstition, mate. Really.
Moving forward to Leicester now, what have you made of Leicester City? I mean, Steve Cooper's now the manager. Obviously, Enzo was the manager last season, brought them up. What have you made from Leicester from when you've left to now? And do you think they'll stay up this season?
Listen, all I can tell you from the outside is that the football club is a big football club. I watched them last year a lot. I loved the way he used to play, Enzo, and the way he had the players playing. And it was good to watch. Every time they was either on or I could get to the games, it was something that I used to love. It's probably one of two of the football clubs that I love going back to, just because I got looked after, the people, the fans, and the unity of everyone around. And it's been tough because you've lost players and you've had to get players in, and the new manager came in quite late, and I think it's going to be tough for him. And I say it with a bit of a quinch because I know how fans think, so they're going to think Nottingham Forest, Leicester. I I get that, and
Yeah, because you played for Forest as well, didn't you, in your time in football?
Yeah. But I weren't there long. I weren't there long, mate, before I
Did you
come to
get?
Leicester, mate.
Wasn't there a time when you got sent off against Forest for Leicester? It was the City ground, wasn't it? The night
It
game.
was.
I remember in the Championship, you got sent off. Vardy scored, and
Yeah.
you got sent off, and we were down to 10 men. And then Andy Reid scored for Forest, and then Forest win the game. And Riyad Mahrez
Don't
ended up
say that.
scoring.
Yeah. So listen, I know how fans think, and so they're right. You know, it's their football club.
Yeah,
But I mean it. Why I'm going like this as well, because some of the players ain't his.
yeah.
He has brought some players in. The way or style that he wants to play, I don't know if it suits some of the players that are there. And you know as well as I do, in football today, you know football today, you don't get long. You
No,
know, managers don't get long now. So, but listen, the football club is it a Premier League football club? I don't see Leicester going down. I so don't want them to go down, and they don't belong in the Championship. So, whatever it takes for the club to stay in the Premier League, but I think they're good enough to stay in the Premier League.
appreciate that. Paul, let's have a look at the rest of your career after Leicester. Gillingham was where you went after Leicester. Billericay Town, East Furlock, and then Billericay Town, then retired. After retirement, you then went on to manage West Ham Women for a while, quite a bit in the WSL. Talk to me how times have been now away from the game. Do you miss it? Anything you would have changed in your career? Talk to me about that before I ask my next question.
Um, so last year I went coaching in Colchester at the academy,
Yeah,
but then I've come away from that. So, do I miss it? As in playing and stuff, or coaching or
both.
both?
Or
I
you can
miss.
say both if you want to go
Yeah,
both.
listen, I miss training every day. I miss training every day and being with my teammates and having banter. And I think it's nothing like being in a dressing room with 25, 30 other blokes messing around, taking it serious, but having a bit of banter and training for a purpose, being fit. You have to be fit. You can't be left behind these days. The game's too fast, and so I missed that. And I listen, I miss big games, night games. I loved being in a night game, and I miss big games. So that side of it, yeah, course I miss it, and I miss being in an environment that it means you have to win. Your job's on
Hmm.
the line. You have to win. So that's probably the coach and the manager's side. Um, you got to win, because otherwise you're going to be sacked. And that's football. That's life. So as much as when you play, you have to win. Yeah, listen, you have to win, but managers or coaching, you're going to be sacked if you don't win after 5 or 6 games. So I've still got that desire and hunger that I need to be in somewhere that it means something, rather than there's nothing at the end of it.
Yeah. Ross says if Cooper goes and Leicester rang you to say, do you want to be the man to keep Leicester up, would you?
Definite, with a heartbeat. With a
Ross,
heartbeat.
if Cooper ever leaves Leicester, Konchesky's your man.
Yeah.
Um,
Tell John Rudkin.
yep. I just asked the question for Hull City. Obviously, you've scored against Hull before. Anything you want to say on them?
No, the only thing I probably would say is that I'm obviously gutted for one of my former teammates, Liam Messina, who didn't get the opportunity to go again. I think they've jumped ship quite quick. But
Yeah.
like I said, I think that's football. He done so well there, going in there last year. But listen, that's football. So that's probably the only thing I would say about Harwen. Just I remember my goal there.
Last question. What are you up to nowadays?
Say that again, mate.
What are you up to nowadays? That's the final question.
Not a lot really. So my daughter had a bad accident probably 18 months ago. So I tried to be home a little bit more around my daughter and my son. But I do a lot of one-to-one stuff. So I do one-to-one coaching with kids, adults, whoever it is really. But I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm seeing obviously all different ages and different types of people, and I'm loving trying to give them help to go and be the best version they can be, really.
Appreciate that. Paul, thanks for coming on, mate. Really appreciate the chat. And yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for being a Leicester City player. And where would you like Leicester City to finish this season?
This season,
Yeah.
as high as they can this season, mate, as long as he's in the Premier League. And then hopefully next year, give it a good go, eh?
Cheers, Paul. All the best, mate.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And up the Foxes, come on the Foxes.
That was Paul Konchesky, former Leicester City left back. Great chat on the channel. Appreciate everyone. Paul Konchesky is a blue. EH Forest. Yeah. Chester left, you've just missed him. Paul Konchesky. Guys, if you've enjoyed the chat with Paul Konchesky, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well. If you watch this on playback, I'm sure you'll enjoy the chat with Paul Konchesky about his time at Leicester. And leave your comments as well. What's coming up on the final whistle? So we've got the Carabao Cup 4th round draw, where we react to that as Leicester City are in the cup draw tonight as they take number 6 ball number in the draw, and looking forward to seeing who we get next. Not the greatest of performances yesterday at Walsall, but we got through, is what matters. But no, thanks for watching, everyone. Appreciate it as always. We'll be back tomorrow night as well with the Premier League predictions with Football Martin. And then we've got the match preview on Friday at 6 p.m. with Lee Judges from Arsenal Fan TV. So join us for that. Take care, everyone, and goodbye. Hi all, thank you for watching The Final Whistle. If you enjoy all our content, please remember to smash a like, share and subscribe to the channel.